Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. We have had an overwhelming response from people from across the globe. As you can see on the screen, we have had people from all over the place. So now I'll move on to quickly introducing Sapta, who is the speaker for the day. So Sapta is an IIT alum. He has led product design teams at brands like Housing.com and Zeta India. Right now he's a product design manager at Swiggy. He's really popular for his talks, and he has also been on the TEDx platform. He has delivered 50 plus UX talks at various places, including Amazon, Grab, IDC, IIT Bombay, IIT Guwahati, NID Bengaluru. So we'll start with handing it over to Sapta. Before that, I would like to quickly give a set of instructions for you to interact with us. Since this is a webinar, we cannot hear you. The only way for you to interact us with the chat is the chat box and the Q&A segment. So in case you have anything that you would like to get involved with during the discussion, put it in the chat box. But if you have a specific question that you would like me to answer or Sapta to answer, please Q&A box. Please ensure that you put your questions in the Q&A box so that we can pick it up later on. If you put it in the chat box, we might miss it at the end of the session. So Q&A goes in the Q&A segment. Any comments or anything that you would like to share with us goes in the chat box. Over to you, Sapta, for the rest of the session.
Thank you, Shweta. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm really flattered. But I just correct one thing. I didn't really lead design teams at Housing and Zeta. I was a part of those teams. So yeah, fine. I work for those teams. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me on a Saturday morning, because I understand Saturday mornings are holy where you would want to sleep, but you chose to spend with us, and I'm really grateful for that. So, without any further delay, I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Shweta, I hope that's good. Okay. Okay. Do you see my screen, folks? All right, let's do this. Okay. If you think about what I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing my screen in front of me. So the chat box is the only place where I get to interact with you. So please be vocal about your opinions or whatever you think over this chat box. And during this talk also, I might ask you a thing or two, and then you feel free to use this place for voicing your opinion or for saying anything that you might want to. And in case you feel that you must want to speak, maybe unmute, and Shweta will give you the access, and then we can have a discussion like that as well. So in short, hello everyone. Thanks for joining me on Saturday. This is Saptarshi. I'm a design manager at Swiggy. I'm sure you all know what Swiggy is. I don't have to tell you. I have a long name even for Indian standards, so please feel free to call me Sapta. That's the first thing I do for any of my talks, because Saptarshi is really a mouthful thing to say, right? So if you already know me, or if you have attended any of my talks before, you may see one or two things which are similar across my deck. Okay, I always try and use different examples to drive my points home, but my thinking or my ideologies kind of remain same. So you will see some of those things repeating. Maybe the examples could be new, right? Okay, so I'm Sapta. I work for Swiggy. You know what Swiggy is. That's my social handle, Saptarshi PR. So I'm available across every platform. Using that, you can connect with me later after the show, right? So I'm going to talk about design. Of course, I'm a designer, right? But before we do that, let me tell you what happened last night. Okay, so night, because I'm a night owl. I'm sure many of you are. So I stay awake late till 9, and I read something, or I do something, or I practice something. So nighttime is the right time for me. So last night also I was awake at around 3 a.m. I was reviewing these slides actually yesterday, and then I was sitting at my desk and I was working, and then my phone was charging beside. My phone rang right at 3 in the morning. So before I could go and fetch it, I missed the call. Right, so I saw there was a missed call, and when I picked up and I unlocked the screen, and when I saw that, I saw it was a missed call from a friend at 3 a.m. right, at 3:04 was precisely the time then. So what do you think I would have felt when I saw this? Any ideas? Or how would you feel if you had faced a similar thing at 3 in the morning? You get a missed call and you see that it's one of your friends. You can use the chat platform. Okay, someone says concerned, a bit panic, worried, emergency. He's dropped. Okay. Call back, emergency, any urgent. Friend might be in emergency. All right. I see a lot of emergency out there. Yes, absolutely. Right. Now, what if I tell you that this friend of mine, he's a night owl too. So he's a gamer. He's a lot into console gaming, and nighttime is, or the early mornings is when he actually plays. So now, what will you think? Now, how do you think I might have felt now that I know about my friend who's also a night owl guy or who's a gamer, right? Wants to share an idea. Okay, asking along for a game, invitation. Okay, clan on PUBG. Right. So, the theme has kind of changed now. Previously, it was about emergency. Yes, help in a game could also be an emergency, I understand, but it's not that kind of emergency that you have spoken about. So, suddenly, when I tell you that my friend is also a night owl, probably he's also awake and it's like a common thing. Suddenly, things are a lot better. It's not that emergency where he's probably. Let's say one more thing. This could have also been missed call from mom at 3 a.m. Now, if this happens to you, what would you feel? I'm looking at the comments. Worried, panic, emergency, something wrong, absolute concern. Exactly. I think all of us, anyone who is in this webinar today, will for moms don't stay awake till 3 in the morning, right? They're asleep, and if they have called you, if they have missed a call or you have missed a call, is certainly something which you need to look into. So probably you'll immediately call back, or you'll try and understand whether it's is it an emergency or was it by mistake or something, right? But the same thing, if I say it's a missed call from mom at 5:35 p.m., which is in the evening. When I say this, things again start getting better because 5:35, yeah, it's a nice time. It's in the evening. Probably mom has just had her cup of tea, and she just wants to find out if I have had my tea or not. So it could be something like that. Or what are you doing? Did you have your lunch and all? Right? So again, this missed call is not as concerning as a missed call at 3 in the morning, right? You saw what we did just now, or what you all did just now. You looked into some of the things which was there, a missed call, the time, the person involved, and you decided, okay, it's an emergency, or no, he's just drunk, or no, he's just gaming, maybe he needs your help, or he's drug dialing or whatever. So we could come up with all these conclusions and all these predictions because we analyzed a few things around. We looked into the situation. We said, okay, this is an emergency. This is not. This is worrisome. That is probably not. Right? Now, this capability of prediction, we all do. We all do in our lives all the time. Right? If we see that it's cloudy today, when I'm stepping out, I'll probably fetch my umbrella because I feel that, okay, it might rain. I don't want to get wet. Right? These predictions, what we have just spoken about, are very small ones, but there could be big ones as well. Shall we play a small game about predictions? Are you all up for it? Okay, let's do this. Right? What if I tell you that you have two options of ice cream, right? You need to pick an ice cream for your own self, and the two flavors available are coffee or chocolate. Okay. So can I see in the comment section whether you want coffee or chocolate? Or maybe, if you want to use shortcuts, you can use these smileys. The smile for coffee and the laugh for chocolate. Okay. No, you have to pick one from these, even if you like vanilla or strawberry or something else. Coffee, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Somebody said vanilla. Okay. The rate at which this comments are coming, that itself makes me feel that it was a very easy thing, right? Because you're talking about your own self. What would you look into? You will just see your preference. Okay, I like chocolate, I'll go for chocolate. Or I like coffee, I'll go for coffee. Or I just had a chocolate ice cream yesterday, maybe I should try coffee today. Very simple, right? Let's make it for. What if I ask you to make a choice for me? If Sapta were to pick up, or rather, if you were to pick up any flavor for Sapta, what would you do? Would you pick coffee or would you pick chocolate? Again, the same thing. I'll ask you. No, you can't ask me. You'll have to do it. No, both is also not an option. You'll have to pick up one. Okay. Coffee, chocolate. It's a mix, right? Okay. I don't know like what other people get this. Right. Listen, just to one person who says coffee, you could unmute and just say why you think you would pick coffee for me. And maybe one more person who says chocolate could unmute and say why chocolate for me. Can we do that?
I think we cannot do that
Okay.
because the doesn't allow, but maybe we can ask for an explanation in the chat box itself.
Okay. Okay. Sure. That works. Somebody says night owl, surely coffee. Okay. Because you're a night owl, right? Okay. Let me just, I'll take your feedback. No, that's not an option. I second that. Okay. Any other reasons? Because it's your voice. Because who doesn't love chocolate? Exactly. Maybe you look like a coffee person. Wow. Okay. Okay. Good stimulant. Cool. You know, these are some awesome reasons. Now let's see what I thought it could be, right? Some of you have figured out that yes, he's a night owl, which is confirmed because I said it. So maybe he drinks coffee to stay awake, or maybe he even likes coffee, right? So in that way, maybe you can. It's fair for you to say that I would probably like a coffee flavored ice cream more than chocolate, right? Now that's a fair assumption. That's a fair prediction that you have did with the limited knowledge that you have. Now, what if I tell you that I hate cold coffee? Now, if I give you this statement, does your prediction change? It probably will, because I even if I love coffee, but I said that I do not like coffee in its cold form, and ice cream is cold, so maybe I wouldn't like coffee ice cream. Maybe chocolate is what I would pick, right? But again, this is also a prediction based on one more data point that you have got. But that's all you know about me. If you know more about me, what kind of ice cream I like, or what kind of flavors I like, or what is my behavior and everything, you would be in a much better position to make prediction, right? But right now you just have these three and one fourth thing that I told you. Based on these four things, maybe you can predict that, okay, maybe chocolate is his preferred, or coffee is his preferred, right? You saw what we did here, or what you did here. You again predicted. Now, this prediction is what you all do and what I do as a designer as well. And the designers who are there in the audience might be smiling and thinking, okay, I know what you're saying. But for the non-designers, this is what we do on a daily basis, right? Is that we don't our decisions are a little more serious than this, or a little more impactful than this. Here, even if I like chocolate, you give me a coffee ice cream, I would still not mind. I'll probably have it. But it gets more critical when you're taking decisions where it could mean a lot, right? It could matter a lot. So that's what makes our job critical. And this is thinking. Many people also refer to it as design thinking, right? And I wouldn't suggest that, because if you go and see what design thinking is, a complicated definition comes into place. It says, the cognitive, strategic, practical process by which design concepts, proposals for new products, buildings, machines, etc. are developed. Very complicated. Reminds you of the movie Three Idiots, right? But actually, design thinking in its simplest form is what you did just now. When you looked into the missed call scenario, you looked into the people time and predicted something, or you looked into the ice cream flavors, you looked into my life and you predicted which flavor I would like. That is nothing but design thinking in its simplest form, right? And this is exactly what we do on our daily lives as well as professional designers. Let me show you one example, right? I work for this company called Swiggy. I'm sure all of you know it, what Swiggy is, and I'm sure you use it as well. If you are in Bangalore, I saw most of you were from. This is probably the kind of app that you're seeing these days. These are the services that we have at the top, and yeah, followed by the rest of the app, right? Now, we do things, or we act on things based on certain triggers. A couple of months back, we got a trigger too. We saw that there were lots of cancellations in our orders. Many people were canceling a lot of those orders. And we thought that, okay, maybe, people are so unpredictable. They order something and then they feel that they don't need it, and they just go and cancel it, bothering us and all our resources and everything. That's one way of analyzing the thing. But when we saw that as a repeated behavior, of course, I wouldn't say that maximum, a lot of people were canceling, but there was a sizable chunk of people who were canceling. That got us into thinking. We predicted, why probably do you think they are canceling the orders? We went ahead and saw most of the reasons which people had given, not only delivery charges. So the reason that we saw for cancel, they said that I ordered it for a different location. I wanted it in a different address, but I sent it to a different address. So this is what was one of the major reasons why people were canceling. And you were like, what? I mean, what does it even mean? Because you know your address, you are at your home or you're at your work, and how could you, place an order and then cancel it? It's again a natural assumption for us to make. And moreover, address is right there at the top. You see, it is right there at the top. It says you are at work, and then you went ahead and you placed an order. Then how could you cancel it saying that it was a wrong order, right? But then we didn't stop here. We try to understand like what could be the reason that even though we are making things so obvious at the top, people are missing it, and people are maybe placing wrong orders. So when we further delved deeper into it, we met some people or we did some research here and there. We figured out that address at the top. But since you're so used to seeing that, since all of us are so used to seeing a header in any app with some text on top of it, people were missing it, right? And while GPS does a good job, but we know that it doesn't do a very good job as well. At times, it defaults to a certain location where you were before, maybe 2 hours back, or 1 day back, or last time when you opened the app, and could be a mistake. Maybe 2 days back, maybe Friday evening, you are at work, and then you're trying. It's a Sunday morning, and you're trying to order from your home, but the defaulted to your work location, and you're into your work instead of your home. This was happening very often. Now, a part of it was technical, because if your GPS is perfect, your address would be perfect. There won't be any reason to think at all. But we know that GPS is not perfect. It's a issue. We can simply say that, yeah, it's a technical issue. There's nothing that we can do. But the truth is, there is always something that we can do. We thought, okay, let us go ahead and over communicate a bit. We said, instead of just one line, let us put 2 lines of text and say that, okay, it's your work. And, maybe I just show you the one sentence of what your work address is as well. But again, this doesn't ensure that you would not miss it. You may still miss it, even though there's a little bit of extra data about your address out there. So we thought, okay, let us over communicate it even more. We went ahead and made something in the splash. Normally, you would see the splash and it would load. Maybe it's a little shaky, hopefully in the second time. Okay, the animation is a little shaky. I'm sorry about it. I can share it with you later. So it's nothing. When you see the splash screen, it's the Swiggy logo, and after that, the home opens. So instead of that, what we did was we animated the Swiggy logo into a pin, and it also shows you the address where it has detected based on GPS or based on any other logic. And then the same address animates and goes at the top and sits at where it is on the. What it does is nothing new. We haven't changed anything. It is just a small nudge for you to look into the address a little more so that you don't make a mistake of selecting the wrong address. So even if a wrong address is being selected, it will be right in front of you so that you can correct it immediately in the next step, right? So this was our way, a quickest way to solve this problem of cancellations that we saw, right? So again, how did we do it? We predicted. We thought that cancellations, why would cancellations, why would people cancel orders? And then we saw addresses. So as and when we keep questioning ourselves, we figured out that, okay, maybe this is the problem. So let's try and do this. So this is something that we shipped to 100% of us just a week or two back. And we are eagerly waiting for the data to come and see how it is performing. Are the cancellations reducing, or are the cancellations due to wrong address reducing? And if it does, we would call it a success. If not, we'll again have to look back and see what else can we solve this problem in a different way, maybe, right? Now, this is a small problem. This is just a small feature, a small thing that we did. Big products can also be built in the same way, right? So in Swiggy, we order food, and you all know that. And when you order, you open the app, you pick a restaurant, and then you go pick an item. And when you do, the bill looks something like this. And say there is an item total, then there are delivery charges, there are packing charges. Because, we pack and deliver your food, so it makes sense for us to charge money for that. And that bill is something, say 295, whereas the item total is 250, right? And we knew that people do not like to pay delivery charges and packing charges because it's really annoying. You're buying a food and you're about delivery. You never talked about packaging. So why is there shock that you're giving me in the bill? So we were sure that people do not want to pay all these things. And that's why we went ahead and built something. This is what you would want to see: a free delivery charges and free packaging. But we couldn't give it to you right away, right? In addition to that, we also saw one more thing. We saw that a lot of people were ordering food only for their own, that is people. And how did we figure that out? Because we saw the orders were mostly like this, one item, or one rice or one roti or something like that. And then we figured out that most of the people are single who wanted something like this instead of a lot of rice and a lot of curry, which they were anyways wasting because they couldn't finish it on their own. They wanted something like this: smaller quantity, smaller rice, smaller curry, which could be consumed by one single person comfortably without wasting anything. And when the quantity is less, the price also goes down. The price would be something like this, because we are cutting down on the quantity. We are custom making, we are tailor making something which work for one single individual. And that's why we came ahead. I think one or two of you have already guessed what it is. It is nothing but Swiggy Pop. Because we knew that you would want to find something really fast. You would not want to pay the delivery and the packing charges, and you would not want to eat a lot because it's for your single meal. So we designed this for you, we made this for you. And this is a place where you don't have to go inside any restaurant. You directly see a list of all the items, and these are all dependent on the time of the day as well. So if it's in the morning, probably breakfast items like this, and you will see lunch items, dinner items, snacks items, and so that we are trying to remove one layer of that unnecessary discovery, where you want something functional which you just eat and just let it be. And and also we are taking care of all the other post purchase things, where the prices and the delivery charges and everything, right? So this was our way of saying that. We also saw a few things like people speaking about delivery charges and all, and we predicted a few things, that meal is what they, maybe a lower cost is what they want. And then of course, it's not as simple as just predicting and building something. After we predicted, we interview a lot of our potential users, and then we validate all these predictions. And only then, when we have a sufficient amount of confidence, we go and build. And Swiggy Pop was exactly one of that. Of course, I personally didn't work on Swiggy Pop because it was built before I joined the organization. But I think this is a great example where it clearly shows how something, we saw a few things, or we saw a few pattern in the market, and based on that we predicted thing. And we validated it, and we went ahead and built a product which is very popular. I'm sure all of you know what it is. It's right there, and that's what your Swiggy Pop is, right? So you see, what you did for ice cream and what we did for Swiggy Pop isn't very different. There also you predicted, and here also we have predicted, right? Just that the nature of predictions, or we are more concerned about getting the prediction right, because anything wrong, any mistake in this prediction would not only cost us money, but it would also cause users a lot of frustration as well, because if we do not get it right, if we give you something thinking it is good for you, but if it is not, that is nothing but a wrong prediction, a wrong suggestion, right? So that's why we need to be more careful. We need to look into a lot many things, and we need to be very mindful about what we are doing. That's what makes the work of a professional designer like me more challenging, right? It is a little more complex than selecting a chocolate or a coffee ice cream. Let's look at one more thing. Everyone knows Swiggy, but does anyone know what daily is? Swiggy daily? I'm seeing the comment section again. Okay. Nope. One or two people says they do. Just give me 1 sec, folks.
So the question, guys, is that whether do we know about Swiggy Delhi? So can you please keep writing, punching chat box of your answers?
Okay, so for the people that do not know, somebody said it's about daily food. I think one or two people know it. Okay, so maybe I can go ahead and narrate the story, right? Because I have narrated this story in some of my previous talks as well. So if you've attended, so you already know what it is. So I'll tell you. So Swiggy Daily is another app by Swiggy. And how Swiggy Daily is different is, well, let me tell you how it is similar. Swiggy Daily also sells food, just like Swiggy. But the nature of the food is slightly different. It's not the restaurant food that you found on Swiggy, but it's home cooked or home style food, which is served on Swiggy Daily. And that could be, either you could buy one single meal from Swiggy Daily, or you can subscribe it for the whole month or for the whole week. That's what Swiggy Daily is different from Swiggy, right? And you wouldn't find any restaurants on Swiggy Daily. There are no restaurants. There are smaller kitchens, like the dabba walas, or even a home chef. So there is some lady or some gentleman who likes to cook from their apartment, and they can say make 10 or 20 plates of certain meal every day. They can always get themselves listed on Daily and start selling food at a professional scale. So Swiggy will give them the logistic support to get them delivered, and the home chef or the small size kitchen would do all the cooking and sell the food via Swiggy, right? So that's the proposition of Swiggy Daily. And the reason why it is a separate app, well, there were many other business reasons as well. One of the reasons was that because these were meant to target slightly different use cases. Swiggy is more of an indulgent, that's the place where you order your butter naan and butter chicken. Swiggy Daily would be more like, your thali that you can eat every day, right? And those food would be slightly different. They would have less oil, less masala, which is okay for you, which is good for your, system, not harmful, something that you can keep eating every day. And that's why the name Daily, something that you can keep eating every day as your staple food, right? When I joined Swiggy around 2 years back, my first work was to build this app, Swiggy Daily, right? Because even then we identified that a lot of people are ordering from Swiggy on a daily basis because they are dependent. That's how even Swiggy Pop was built, because a lot of single people were ordering. So people were ordering on a daily basis. That means we predicted that they want food daily because they don't have any other way to get food. And maybe the food that is sold in Swiggy, they may not want to eat it every day. While many of us don't mind eating a biryani every day, but we know that in the longer run, it may have certain effects on our health. So that's how we predicted, yes, there is a need of daily food. There is a need of food which is easy on your system. There is a need of food which is affordable on your pockets because you'll be eating every day, right? Like the example that I showed you for Swiggy Pop, which was 250 rupees or 295, or even after discount, it was around 120 or something, which is, if you see, is pretty high for being a single meal. And that is the reason why we thought that Swiggy Daily could be a platform where there would be relatively, better price, so that it fits your needs well. Yeah, Santosh, I see your comment. Daily app is not available right now because of COVID. We had to hold on the on the operations of that. It's available only. It was available only in Gurgaon and some parts of Bangalore. But as of today, as we're talking about the COVID scenario, it is on hold. So you're coming back. I had to design the app of Swiggy Daily. Now, one simple thing was, it is food, so it can be just like Swiggy, right? Why can't we just clone the Swiggy app and just change the names of the items and we are done? But then one thing was, there were no restaurants on Swiggy because there were no restaurants on Swiggy Daily. So there was no point, having one extra list, and the number of items that you see on Daily would be relatively lesser than Swiggy. In Swiggy, if you open on in a place like Indiranagar or Kormangla, you will find 600 restaurants, but that wouldn't be the case on Daily. You'll probably see a limited set of things, and from there you might have to pick up. So we thought that there won't be a concept of restaurant. You open the app, you see items, and that's nothing but very similar to Swiggy Pop. So I thought, okay, let's copy and paste the designs of Swiggy Pop, and after that we'll see what I can do with it. So this is how Swiggy Pop looks like. I fetched the designs of Swiggy Pop, chicken Whopper burger by Burger King, rupees 149 or something. I picked up that listing. I said, okay, this works perfectly for Daily. Let's see what we can do. I changed the items names to what we plan to sell at Daily. It's a deluxe North Indian egg meal or something. It's not a very fancy food. It's a regular food that you can eat every day. Roti, egg curry, and a couple of other things. And it won't be, big brands like, Daily, Burger King or someone. So it could be maybe a home chef called Niti Parulkar, and the price could be around 89 rupees. So I put all those things together, but there were still some doubts. It doesn't complete the whole thing. When I say when I say chicken Whopper burger by Burger King, you know what it is because you have had it so many times and you have seen Burger Kings around you all the time. So you have certain association with the item that is being sold. But the same isn't true for deluxe North Indian egg meal. Because somebody else may call it supreme or some other chef may call it something else. So there is no standard as to what this is. So we thought, okay, a bit of description is needed. Let's go ahead and put some description. I put a description, okay, it's an egg curry, it's a bhindi masala, it's raita and 3 rotis. Essentially the items that you see on the images. Wasn't clear whether the green thing was, spinach or okra or whatever. It was not clear, but writing that, it kind of becomes clear. But then saw this. Now imagine this unit that you see is going to repeat in 2 columns and across multiple rows. So that's how the items will be laid out. It has 1 image and 4 different blocks of text. Now, when you see it in isolation, it may seem like, okay, this works. But when you imagine this entire grid, this will be too many things for the user to understand and look into. And it may have what we call as the cognitive load. Well, cognitive load is nothing but, the mental load which happens when you see a lot of options, a lot of information. To put it in simple words, that's what cognitive load is. We felt this would have a lot of cognitive load. Then I thought, okay, let's try and work on this. How can we make it better, right? I figured that the deluxe North Indian egg meal, that title wasn't adding any extra value. So what could we do? Maybe put the description there itself, right? This is what I did. I removed the name. I put the description as the name, which is egg curry bhindi masala. And I also made the images bigger. Why images bigger? Because these were home style foods. That was the major classification from what you find on other apps or platforms like our normal platform like Swiggy. You will still get an egg thali there, but that egg thali will be cooked in a different way. This egg thali is cooked in a different way because this is probably cooked in a home and it is cooked just like your mom or your aunt or somebody else would make an egg curry or a roti at home. And it is very different from restaurant food. So those feelings and emotions had to come out in this listing. Otherwise, it's very similar to anything else, right? So we thought image is a good way to show that. Photography is, of course, another way. So you see everything, if you see on the images, are plated on stainless steel plates and bowls because that's how we like to eat in India, right? So all the photography was done there. We gave more weightage to the images. Yes, making the images bigger would also mean that there are fewer items that you can fit in. But like I had said, the options that you find here on daily wouldn't be as large as you found on Swiggy. So we could actually afford to show them this way because the number of items were less. So we thought, okay, let's have big images, egg curry, bhindi masala, raita, price by Nidhi Parulkar, done. Now the problem here is nobody knows who Nidhi Parulkar is. And there may be similar thali by different other people, might be some other lady or some other gentleman or some other kitchen that you haven't heard of. So in such a scenario, how do you pick one over the other? There is no way you can compare those things. Rating could be a thing, but like I said, it's a newer app, and rating only makes sense when you have a lot of information. When I say that it's rated 4.5 out of 5, and there are just 3 ratings, you'll be like, oh, come on, tell me about it. Versus if it is 4.1, but there are 900 people who rated it, that makes a lot of sense. Then you will believe it. But to start with, rating about a particular item, right? And that is the reason why we couldn't stick to that. So what we thought that let us do it in a more humanistic way. Let us not tell you how good it is. Instead, let us tell you the story of the person who made it. Hopefully that will do something till the time we have ratings. So first thing that I did was I went ahead and put a picture of the chef who made it. Or if it's a small kitchen, maybe it's their logo or something like that, right? So it's Nidhi Parulkar. Now the question that you had before, who's Nidhi Parulkar? Now you probably won't have the same question because you know how Nidhi Parulkar looks, if not anything else. Maybe, you see that and we have that homely association. Okay, this lady looks very similar to, somebody I know, or maybe my mom or my sister or my aunt or somebody else, right? So that naturally makes you feel a little better than before, than seeing only the name where you know nothing about it. And then we thought, okay, let's do one more thing. Let's also say, fine, this is Nidhi Parulkar, this is how she looks, but what's so special about her? Let's put one line which says what is special about her.
maybe one line of description, YouTube cooking instructor turned home chef. Or it could be replicating moms or families 100-year recipes just for you. Or it could be an ex-IT employee who has quit his job to follow his passion of cooking. So these things, when you put them along with an image and a name, it makes you understand the proposition of this or the emotions behind that otherwise seemingly ordinary egg curry a lot more, because you connect with the emotions that curry was built instead of just the fact that it's a curry that fills your stomach. You see? So that way, by including one small things, one image or one line of description, we try to drive the whole thing in an emotional way rather than a very concrete rating and numbers. And of course, we didn't just end here. We also created a story. We wrote a story for each one of them. So, when you actually go to the details, and you have an option of reading about who Nidhi Parulkar is, or what is the story behind her. Why did she start cooking? Who else are there in her family? And maybe some pictures of her home, of her kitchen, so that you have a little more confidence about, okay, this is the place, this is the kind of place where my food is getting cooked, right? And you get to know about the hygiene or the measures. Are they wearing masks or gloves? This is, of course, we're talking about pre-COVID, so mask and gloves are also mandatory when somebody is cooking in a professional kitchen like this. And having said everything, we also did our legal work well. So all of these chefs or all of these kitchens that you find on Swiggy Daily are also duly certified by FSSAI, which is the licensing authority of India regarding all of them. So you see, again, this one, it started with a small idea. The idea, or one small trigger. The trigger was people need food every day. People need home style food every day. People need affordable food. So we started with these 3 sentences, and then we predicted a lot of things on it. We predicted a lot of things. And then with those predictions, we went out to the market. We went out to the world. We spoke to different people. We conducted our researches, and we validated many of those predictions that we had initially made. And then we went ahead and built this. And what I just took you through, how the listing was designed, was one of the last stages where, after we have done all these things, we figured out, okay, now that we have done all these things, how do we create a proposition which people understand, which people connect with? This was the process of that. And with this, yes, that's how the listing was. And this is pretty much how the Swiggy Daily app looks like. Now, if you browse through it, you will find very similar looking, very homely looking food items, and people, their stories, things that you can relate to, right? It may not be someone in your family, but it'll certainly be someone from your network or someone from your circle of friends or colleagues, who you can relate to. So this entire app, one of the major distinction of this entire app was that it is not an app which just gives you food, you buy it. It also tries and plays with your emotion. It tells you the emotion, or it tells you about the people behind who has made that food, because food is not just a fuel. We are not cars, and these are not petrol, right? So this is how we arrived from this that I started with into something, a listing which looks like this. And a lot of it was dependent on how a small prediction that we had started with. Very similar to the chocolate and the coffee prediction that you had made for me, or the missed call prediction that you would make for your life or my life, anything, right? So all these things are same. So what I'm trying to say is, we are all designers inside, because whatever I told you right now in the 2 or 3 examples that I have shown you, they aren't very different. They aren't something that you or anybody else couldn't have thought about. They're very basic things. They are like very simple things. But when we think about them and also work towards, making some of these things better, we are called a professional designer. And that's what I am today. And that's what you could be if you're not a designer. Because like I had said, everyone's a designer inside. It's all about understanding what you need to see, what you need to look at, and what you need to predict, so that it does good for other people and also for you, right? Now this is pretty much what I had, my folks, because time was short today. It's a short one. And yeah, this is how I design, or this is how most of the people design in the industry. And if you want to be one, You just need to continue doing what you have been doing all your life, right?
Yeah, thanks.
If you like this talk, I recently started a YouTube channel. You can find some of my design related videos on this. And these are my social handles across different platforms. I would, of course, love to take some questions now. And if you have anything beyond, if time permits us to take only for a limited number of questions, I would love to take questions across any of this platform. Please feel free to drop me a message. I will end this talk with a simple thing. So far, whatever I have said, it sounds very simple, right? It is in fact very simple. But in the process, I also oversimplify things a bit because what we do professionally and the reason why we are getting paid for it is a little more critical than choosing a coffee versus chocolate ice cream. Little more, not a lot, right? So during the talk, maybe I made it like it's very simple. So if you want to get into that professional kind of designing, I'm sure Spread and Mind has got an awesome course for you guys, which you can register into and understand that now that you have the DNA inside, now that you know that you are already a designer, how can you unleash that thing out and expand it so that you can become a professional and affect the lives of millions of people in the world. That's it pretty much from my side.
Yeah.
Shweta, audios.
So thanks a lot, Sapta. And it was like super interesting on how you start example, because this happened to me late night. So recently I have been a night owl for many years, but recently I've been like sleeping early, and I had a call from a friend at 2:30 yesterday, and I woke up and called back thinking that it was an emergency, but it wasn't. She was just on some online, she was taking some online course and wanted me to help her with some of the answers. So and we have one of the questions which kind of aligns with this particular incident that I just mentioned. It's by Ibadur Rahman, which says, why not deep dive into the cancellation by conducting surveys for those who canceled? Why are we trying to predict and guess when we can ask people on why they did something? So would you like to answer that quickly?
Baidur, we do that. So guessing is just the first step. So when you see something, the first thing that you do is you guess, right? So same thing, if I were to extend on the missed call example, when I see my mom's missed call, I will obviously predict and I will get scared. Oh my God, what is wrong? And immediately I'll call up my mom and I'll ask her, hey mom, everything fine? And she'll be like, nahi, haath lag gaya tha, or something like that, right? So what I did, I immediately validated that. So we did similar things too. When we figured out there were certain assumptions that we made, there were certain predictions that we made, and then we went ahead and validated it. And also I will add one more thing to your question. Most of the times it is not as simple as asking the users, what is causing you this trouble? If you say, they will say that, it was my mistake. I sent it to a wrong address. At times users may not even realize that it is not their own mistake. Maybe it is designed in a way so that the users are bound to make mistakes. And a user will never know that. A user will never know that the address is put in such a way that you're likely to be missed. So maybe you should make that more visible. This is a feedback you will never get from your users. Take it from me. This is something that you will have to predict, and you will have to build solutions based on certain assumptions and then go ahead. All that you get when you speak to users is you understand their problems. You understand their problems, you understand their frustrations, and then you work back. What caused that frustration that the person was speaking about? Then you work back and then you see that, array, maybe the problem is that we have put the address in such a way that he's missing it, or most of the users are. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and then we have two very interesting questions on Swiggy Pop and Swiggy Daily's logo. So the question is, this is from an anonymous person, so I don't know the name, but just curious about the name Swiggy Pop and how did it come into being, and why did Swiggy Pop move from bottom bar to top? Why that particular transition? So yeah, that's question on Swiggy Pop. Why the name, and why does the transition is moving from bottom to top?
Well, the first question, I think, like I told you, this Swiggy Pop was designed almost a year before I joined. So I wasn't a part of that hustle, but I have heard stories, and I think there was a nice blog post written by one of my colleagues as well, from product management, of course. So it's a blog by Taruna Manchanda. So I would highly recommend you go check that out on Medium. It's a story of how Swiggy Pop was made, and not just design, the entire Swiggy Pop. It was made in a record time of 100 days, which is barely 3 months. So I would highly recommend you go check that out. And I think why it was named Pop was because Now, pop is something that you associate with things which are fast. It'd be the popping of a popcorn, or pop music, or something which is really quick, or really modern, or something like that. So pop, one of the propositions of pop was it's going to be faster. The pop means would be faster than the other things, because these are pre-curated. We have spoken to the restaurants and we have pre-designed some of the meals for you, and hence we used to cut down a lot on the preparation time, because a lot of things would be kept ready, right? On only the last things which needs to be done at the end, so as to retain the freshness, would be done, so that your ordering time, the ETA of your order, would be much lesser. So that was, I think, one of the reasons why pop was given that name. But I would still recommend you go check out that post. And the second bit, why pop moved from the bottom to that place, is because here, I might have to go a little technical. So that bottom bar is the highest in the order of all the information that you have on the page, right? So there are different kinds of information, and the bottom bar is at the topmost, because from there you can navigate to various places. If you want to go to your account section, ordering, or your cart, but this is where you do your primary, a lot of the navigation there. And pop was sitting there. So which means pop was also along with the same hierarchy on top of everything. That made sense, or that worked in a world where we were only into food delivery. But the fact that now Swiggy is more than just food delivery, we are into groceries, medicines, and a lot of other things, it didn't make a lot of sense from a hierarchy point of view to have pop there, because pop is a very much a food property. So that's why we had to remove it from there. So yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah, that's I think insightful story. And the next one is the next question that we have is on Swiggy Daily, on why is Swiggy Daily's logo so different and like totally different from the logo of Swiggy.
The reason being, at first we thought that we might not even call it Swiggy Daily. We might simply call it Daily. The reason being, we wanted this to be a different brand from the same company, right? So, if you're into this industry, or if you know how brands and companies work, so there could be one company which is making many brands. For example, ITC is making multiple brands. Sunfeast is a brand, and something else is a brand. So you're right, right? So that's what we thought, that Swiggy or Bundle Technologies is a company, and maybe the Swiggy app is one brand, and the Daily could be another brand. And the reason why we did it because the proposition was very different. You never associate Swiggy with home food, do you? Because when you think of Swiggy, you think of that biryani or that burger or that butter chicken, but you never think of that simple thali that you eat every day. It would be similar to if I say that there is a salad sold by McDonald's. Yes, McDonald's, of course, can sell a healthy salad or something, but then you will never associate McDonald's as your go-to place for buying a salad, will you? Because, there are dedicated salad places, or there are dedicated healthy places, right? So in the same way, we felt that home food is a proposition people do not usually associate Swiggy with, so we thought of keeping it separate. And in addition to that, there were some other business reasons as well, which I'm not supposed to speak here. But primarily from a UX point of view, if I were to tell you, yes, it's the propositions which were different. And that's why even, it looks and feels different. And hence the logo is also different.
And I hope I'll like to thank each and every one of you for being here on the session today on a Saturday morning. And thanks a lot, Sapta, for your time. Thanks for the insightful conversation. And thanks for the analogies, beautiful analogies that you were able to draw from our daily activities to taking it to design, and then how it kind of translate into something tangible which can be built into a business. Thanks for all of that. I would like to thank each and every one of you. See you again next on next episode, where we have Sonal Dabral next Saturday at 3 p.m.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Shweta. It was great interacting with everyone out there, and the audience was wonderful. You guys participated in it so well. And I really would like to hope that you learned something out of it. I know this was a very short session, so I could just give you a flavor of some of the things, but couldn't. The duration is not enough to go deeper. But if you want to go deeper, if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me offline, right? Over LinkedIn or any other place. I would love to help you guys through. And if you want to get into any kind of call, you can always schedule a call with me. I can share my Calendly link if you connect with me, and you can find a slot, and maybe we can get on a conversation if you want any kind of advice. I'm always up for that. Thank you.